It's raining in Chaikmyor. Here, in this tiny hamlet in eastern Burma, freelance reporter Par Gyi was arrested, shot dead, and buried by the Burmese army. His widow's group wait, there to be taken to the grave site where the body will be exhumed. Soldiers and police officers move them towards the grounds of a monastery. From there, they must walk a treacherous path through a field laced with landmines. They are surrounded by heavily armed men. It is about an hour before the tension boils over. The team sets out in close single file. Dread fills each footstep. One wrong move could set off an explosion.
We followed their path. We walked for almost an hour. It was terrifying. We crossed barbed wire, drains, ponds and creeks. It seemed like they were taking us on a disused track. At times we had to forge a path through the rice paddies.
The field is barren and windswept. Police have already cordoned off an area. An unmarked, undignified, shallow grave.
We found ourselves about a mile and a half out of the village, across several paddy fields in a small grove. This was where Par Gyi's body was buried. The digging soon began.
As they began digging up the grave, they asked me how tall my husband was. They told me they were afraid of damaging the body. I said he was over 6 feet tall. They lay a perimeter and began exhuming. I didn't turn away. I forced myself to watch, from when they dug the trench around the body by hand to when he was uncovered. As it was happening, I began to worry about how he would look. Would he still be in one piece? Would his face be recognizable? I began to panic. I could not see his head. Would it still be there? I finally saw it, and it was completely smashed. I could not recognize the body, although I could immediately tell by the height that it resembled my husband. I still can't fully accept what I saw. I don't want to say that it was Par Gyi. I had to look at it because it was up to me to reveal the truth, and I had to look at it carefully. But it was a very tough thing for me to do.
The body had been revealed, but how would the team carry it back through the minefield? It was then that Thandar realised that the march had been a scare tactic. Army officers admitted that the body would be taken back by car. The gravesite had been accessible by road all along.
It turned out we could have driven all the way up to the grave. I asked the police chief why they had made us walk through the minefield if we could have driven there. He said he was just following the army detail. I was furious. It had been terrifying, and it was all for nothing.
The team makes the journey back to Moulmein, where the body is delivered to the morgue at the General Hospital.
I was told I would be able to inspect the body again after it had been cleaned. The doctor told me the body had started to decompose. He suggested we ought to bury Par Gyi there in Moulmein and promised to help us organise a fitting ceremony and a procession that the government would pay for. But I was determined to take my husband back to Rangoon. He accepted that and told me I could take it once the police procedures were complete.
The team gathered to hear the doctor's autopsy report. Par Gyi had been shot 5 times, twice in the leg, twice in the back, and once through his head from under the chin. As the doctor read out the results, it became obvious that the men behind him were soldiers, monitoring the meeting in plain clothes. The pair had been present and in uniform at the exhumation the previous day. The hospital chief became nervous when pressed about it. The two men eventually admitted that they were army officers from a command centre in Rangoon. The group was being watched at every turn. The final episode of Journey to Justice will appear next Saturday. In the meantime, you can find out more on the Par Gyi case at dvb.no.